So Burn versus Red-Green Valakut. Both players 1-0 currently during the tournament.
Perfect records to start things off.
Please report to table 538. Your sealed event is ready for you. Richard.
And from the Burn side, I think a pretty typical list of what you'd expect. He's got Swift Spears, Eidolon's Guides, then a full set of Burns splashing for a couple copies of Lightning Helix.
Yeah, the standout I see, there's 2 main deck copies of Exquisite Firecraft. Perhaps looking to close games out against some mana leaks.
It'll be Cinderlade from Berni. Now, Vaughn is on a mulligan to 5 here. He'll start by suspending a Rift Bolt. Go back over to Berni. And it will be Farseek turn 2 from him. He'll just build up mana as he finds a copy of Stomping Grounds.
And with Berni having the play here and Vaughn mulliganing down to 5, I assume that we're going to see the fruition of you calling Berni favored in the matchup.
Yeah, no copies of Through the Breach from Robert. He's really just on that Primeval Titan plan. He has 2 copies of Scape Shift, but it's interesting what he says, he's taken out the Through the Breaches just for more main deck removal.
And one thing about these Exquisite Firecrafts is in terms of card economy, it's another singular spell that deals 4 damage. It helps to balance out the fact that Jordan did not have a 1-mana creature in this hand. So you can deal more damage per card this way, though not having the creature does put him pretty heavily on the back foot here.
Vaughn, that Rift Bolt came off suspended, and then he cast Boros Charm. We go back. Berni played a turn 3 Courser, land from hand. Top card is Search for Tomorrow. Some of those situations, I don't know if Berni had another land in his hand. That's a situation where Oracle Mojaya would pay off. He could ramp up to a Primeval Titan. I think as it is, he's still in a great position, though.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, gaining that 1 life, that's got to be pretty good for him.
Yes. When your opponent starts casting spells and targeting your face, gaining life seems like the optimal plan.
Here is Exquisite Firecraft from Vaughn. It will take down the Courser of Krufix.
Now, Vaughn fetched for a 2nd mountain there. He's still off of green mana for a potential Atarka's Command. There are 4 copies of Atarka's Command in the deck. And being at 17 doesn't seem much better than 15 against the Valakut deck. So I'm not sure that I like that fetch there.
Search for Tomorrow will find another basic mountain. This is land 5 for Berni. All 5 lands are mountains. Both Cinderlade and Stomping Ground have that card type. Then he looks like he will cast Sakura Tribelder.
This is one of my favorite cards of all time, actually, Sakura Tribelder.
4 damage from Vaughn puts Berni down to 10. Was wondering whether that Tribelder is going to stick around. Looks like the answer is no. And here's you see Berni's, this is heads up on his part. He's going to go past basic mountains to find a forest. Reason being is that he already has 5 mountains in play. So each mountain at this point, once he has Valkuts in play, is live. So he actually wants to keep them in his deck.
Right, he wants to make sure that any top deck land is a Lightning Bolt and not a forest.
Pia and Kieran Nalar, the play from Berni.
Still needs to get the Valakut itself online.
Yeah, he hasn't found a copy of that yet. He'll do that, play Sakura Tribelder, get some Thopters, pass the turn. This is a window for Vaughn, actually.
Yeah, Vaughn does have Berni down to 10.
Here's another Firecraft. Berni will go to 6.
Now there are a ton of combinations of 2 cards that could just end the game on Vaughn's next turn.
Berni's draw was a copy of Oath of Nissa. He'll cast that. We'll see if it can find the big guy. With the Primeval Titan in the top 3, it could end the game very quick. There he is.
The pressure's kind of on Berni to end the game this turn, though, which is not something that is possible at this stage.
No, he's not going to be able to. So a swing here with all the creatures is leaving back 1 Thopter. So he's going to swing for 4, put Vaughn to 13. Leaves back a Thopter. I think he's debating if he wants to leave back a Thopter to maybe block Goblin Guide.
Yeah, something like Goblin Guide, 3rd Boros Charm would be lethal.
Yeah, well, the thing is that Pia and Kieran could throw a Thopter at a Goblin Guide if that happened.
Right, that's also true.
There's got to be danger for Berni. Vaughn draws land 4, shocks for it. Plays looks like a Tarka's Command. and a Skullcrack. That's exactly 6. And Vaughn on a mull to 5 takes game 1 from Robert Berni.
Yeah, that was stomping ground off the top sealed that game on that turn.
Yeah, he needed an untapped mana source, and that was enough. I don't think Vaughn was getting another turn there.
No, it looked very unlucky. Down to 11, there was currently 5 power on the table. And then something like a Valakut getting set up with the Primeval Titan was available.
So Titan would get 2. He would untap. He'd play Titan. He'd get 2 Valakuts. Then he'd sacrifice the Sakura Tribe in play for 6 points of burn.
Yep.
That between the Lightning Bolt, the next attack, was almost certainly lethal.
Yeah, more than enough gas in the tank to wrap things up there.
But on the mull to 5, you see game 1 going over to burn. And not too much of a rise. I know game 1 is certainly, in a lot of matchups, really is Burn's best game.
Yeah, and it was really interesting the way that he closed out for Exaxes. He drew both copies of his Exquisite Firecraft, so he missed on that turn 1 drop, but made up what he lost there by having just more 4 damage spells in his deck.
Yeah, I think when you're on a mulligan, no, Exquisite Firecraft is not always, it's not the most efficient burn spell.
Right.
But it is the biggest, and when you're on the mulligan, that may be what you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the most efficient in terms of mana cost, but in terms of cards for damage. Very good.
All right, we'll go over to the sideboards. Looking first at Robert Berni with green-red Valakut. This one has a pretty well-known game plan for the matchup.
Yep, Obstinate Baloth coming in to try to gain some life, hoping not to get Skullcrack. Some Spell Skites to redirect some burn spells to block some creatures. No surprise, see that one there. Could bring in Sudden Shock, just another removal spell. Probably see that one. Pulse of Marasa. Gains 6 life, the relevant text on that card. And if you can get back an Obstinate Baloth, that would be very good as well. So for sure having the 3 Baloths, 2 Spell Skites, probably 2 Sudden Shocks. The 1 copy of Fog,
yeah,
sure.
I would. Well, he has a lot of great things. He also has a copy of Pulse of Marasa here in his sideboard. I would think that would be great. Spell Skite's actually interesting. As Burn has evolved, there's less and less to Spell Skite against it.
That's true.
Not right. You know, going down the list here, you see a Skullcrack, Lava Spike, a Tarka's Command, Boros Charm. It's like, wait, yeah.
It does gain 2 life against these Exquisite Firecrafts.
All right.
It costs you a Spell Skite for it, but
right, because Red-Green Valakut is a deck that's never going to actually pay the blue for Spell Skite, I actually don't expect him to bring it in here. That's more for your Infect, your Suicide Zoo, your Hexproof decks.
Okay, so you're not about the blocker at all. You just rather would have a mana ramp spell on turn 2?
I think he's got a lot of other great options. I mean, I'd Anger the Gods, Pulse of Marasa, Fog, Obstinate Baloth. I think I'd Sudden Shock. I think I'd prefer all of those.
Sure.
It's not unreasonable, but it's often not very good.
Sure, it's the bottom of the list of cards coming in.
Right. Let's look at Jordan's sideboard, though. You see 4 copies of Destructed Revelry, 3 Path to Exiles, 2 Kozilek's Returns, 2 Blood Moons, 2 Core Firewalkers, a Deflecting Palm, and a Spell Skite.
Not a lot that I'm in love with here. Mostly I'm looking at that 1 copy of Deflecting Palm to redirect 6 damage from a Primeval Titan, but even that, I don't really like that a lot.
Well, that can be good.
It can be good. It's arguably not as good as most of the spells in Jordan's deck, though. On the draw, I think it is more impactful than being on the play. You would rather just have as many proactive spells as possible, I think, when you're on the play. So it could be in this draw game, maybe not if there is a game 3 on the play. Blood Moon I'm skeptical of Blood Moon in this matchup.
Oh, it's great. I believe it to be great here. It's not perfect, but you have to be concerned. I guess Robert does play cards like Scapeshift and Primeval Titan. Primeval Titan is just a 6/6 when there's a Blood Moon in play.
Right. This deck also features Pia, Kira, and Nalar. There's a very real possibility that you cast Blood Moon and then you just die in combat.
Definitely.
It's not insignificant. And I could definitely see there be games won single-handedly by Blood Moon. But I could see leaving it on the bench as well.
All right, we're going to go into play here for game 2. So we have a turn 2 Farseek from Berni. He did already take a hit off Goblin Guide, however, from Vaughn, so he's down to 18. See, turn 2, it's going to be Eidolon of the Great Revel from Vaughn. Swings again. Berni shows Oath of Nissa, goes to 16.
Yeah, and in this game, with that Goblin Guide, Vaughn won't need quite so many 4 damage spells.
Yeah, here's Obstinate Baloth. That'll put Berni back up to 20. He takes the opportunity to do that while there's no Skullcrack mana up, and really undoes the damage.
Yeah, that's a very good sequencing here. And now Vaughn probably wishes he did have an Exquisite Firecraft, and maybe we'll see that this turn.
He'll go to 18 for Stomping Ground. Here's a Lightning Helix. Eidolon will trigger. The Helix will go at the Obstinate Baloth. It's a big price to get rid of the 4/4.
Yeah.
Now he'll Lightning Bolt it. So Vaughn took 4 to cast both of those.
Yeah, threw 6 points of damage at the 4/4 on the table to get in 4 points this turn. The hope here is that Berni does not have a follow-up Baloth or more blockers in any capacity on this turn.
Well, what he's got to like is that Goblin Guide has shown him a Oath of Nissa and a Sakura Tribe Elder, both which are good cards, but he does have that Eidolon in play.
Right, they would cost 2 life to cast those spells.
Berni fetching here. He goes for the basic Forest. It's interesting. He first went for Mountain. He also could have gotten Cinderglade even if he wanted.
Yeah, perhaps respecting Blood Moon here. You know, not all of your burn opponents are going to have that, but the Forest is relatively low opportunity cost.
Here's Oath of Nissa. He's going to take the damage. Finds another Sakura Tribe Elder.
This is the last call to sign up for the 12 p.m.
And
Legacy
casts another
Challenge.
Obstinate Baloth.
If you
That's
would like
pretty
to
much
sign
worst
up
case
for the
scenario
12
on Vaughn's side of the
p.m.
table.
Yeah, back up to
Legacy
17 for
Challenge,
Robert.
Please make your way to the side events section
Can
of the
Vaughn
stage
2-for-1 himself
now.
again to get through
It is
it.
the last call for 12 p.m.
He'll suspend a
Legacy
Rift Bolt, play
Challenge.
Arid Mesa. And I think his last cards, he's got that Skullcrack in hand. that
Yeah,
just
Skullcrack, Boros Charm. The window for Skullcrack is kind of passed in this game.
Oath of Nissa on top of Robert's deck. And you see he's going to try to take down that Eidolon. And Jordan will just let it happen. That's a big win for Robert. We know Robert's hand has 2 copies of Sakura Tribe Elder in it and an Oath on top.
Jordan was thumbing his Boros Charm, perhaps thinking about using the double strike mode to trade with the Baloth, but at that point he's just so far behind.
And this, that seems like it may have been too aggressive because he knows it's turning on so many cards in Robert's deck now, or in his hand.
Yeah, losing the Eidolon combat, I imagine that I would have elected for no attacks on that turn.
Now Robert will cast that Oath that was on top of his deck, and it finds Primeval Titan.
In particular, with the suspending the Rift Bolt, if I was going to get into combat with the Baloth, I would want to probably kill it. So just sorcery speed the Rift Bolt on the following step.
Here are both Sakura Tribe Elders from Berni's hand. So Titan will be made next turn. You see Baloth and a pair of 1/1s. Berni at a healthy 15 life points.
Yeah, this game is going to be over in pretty short order, I imagine.
Boros Charm sent upstairs. Berni down to 11. Now Rift Bolt on upkeep.
Of course, Vaughn's not out of it yet.
Yeah, he can burn him out from here. He does have a Skullcrack in hand.
Yep, and the Rift Bolt will be putting Berni down to 8. Skullcrack makes that basically 5. So on the math here, question is, can Berni, if Berni can just kill Vaughn on the following turn, then the game is basically over.
So he'll sacrifice 1 copy of Tribe Elder to go get the land for Titan. Then he can play Titan and get a pair of Valakut's. So he'll have a swing for 5 and the potential for 6 points of burn damage that way. If he has a mountain in his hand, then it's 12 points of burn damage, and that's enough.
Lightning Helix off the top for Vaughn changes the amount of damage that needs to be dealt.
Berni goes to 5, Vaughn up to 16. It's going to make it harder. But still, if Berni has a mountain in hand, that's 12 damage off the mountains and 4 off the Baloth.
Okay.
Vaughn's left back the Goblin Guide. The question is be whether or not he knows that he has to chump block from 16. Berni drew, it looks like he drew a land. So if he just swings Baloth before doing anything, the question I guess is, does Vaughn know he has to chump? Because if he doesn't, he's dead.
Yeah, I would imagine, just given the fact that the Goblin Guide is so unlikely to connect on the following turn, I would assume that we'd see a block there.
I agree.
But that's the play that Berni has anyway. You have to make that check. Well, now that we've tapped 6 mana and are posturing so much, I think it's pretty clear that there's a Primeval Titan in the hand.
Yeah, so okay, so you can, if you play Primeval Titan, get 2 Valakuts, you can play a Mountain, shoot the Goblin Guide, shoot Vaughn. Vaughn will be at 13. Then attack for 5. That would put Vaughn to 8. Then sack the Tri-Belter. That would put Vaughn to 2. But that's where it stops.
And the pressure would be on Vaughn to top deck from that point.
Right. Yeah, I think the line, I mean, if Vaughn knows that he's supposed to block the Baloth, Berni can't kill him this turn.
Right.
Interestingly enough, this matchup, so with some of the others we've seen with Red-Green Valakut, when I've played this, I've believed that the most important card from the Valakut side is Through the Breach in this matchup, which Berni has cut all the copies of. That said, I am not sure how favorable, if at all, this is anymore from him.
So the idea of Through the Breach is just raw efficiency, being able to do things with 5 mana.
Imagine this game where last turn, if Berni's whole play was just cast Through the Breach, put Primeval Titan into play, like he would have won that turn. Where you get 2 Valakuts, then you get 2 mountains, you attack, you just
all right,
it just kills them.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. So you think that by cutting Through the Breach, this race is gone from you are likely to win on turn 4 to likely to die on turn 4 or 5?
The advantages to the Valakut deck is that it's very resilient, right? You're winning with your lands, you're good against counter spells, you don't care about graveyard hate, you don't even care about kill spells, really. It's hard to interact. The disadvantage to the deck is that it's slow.
All right, so it looked like we saw the attack from the Baloth and no blocks for Vaughn.
Okay, so he didn't make the block and then he's dead.
Yeah, he failed the check there.
All right, so we are going to 3. 4 got in from the Baloth, and it's 6 off the land drop, 6 off the Tri-Builder.
And if you don't play against, not everybody is as intimately familiar with Primeval Titan map as Matthias Hunt.
What? This card's great. So you talk about how you look at cards that have been banned in Magic, right? You talk about how Tinkers are banned, things that let you search your deck and cheat mana costs, right? So no Tinker, no Stoneforge Mystic. I'm going to argue that Primeval Titan, he is far and away the best tutor in Modern. He tinkers for 2 cards every turn.
That's an interesting way to describe Primeval Titan is as a tutor, seeing as it's a tutor and a payoff.
Yeah, he tutors the card and cheats its mana cost twice.
I don't like I'm firmly against you putting it in the same conversation as Tinker.
So this is why also all the decks I play, I give him haste, because then you're tinkering 4 times in one turn. And if you can't win when you're doing that, then I don't know. Then I can't help you.
Yeah.
All right. They're going to get ready for the third and deciding game. This is Jordan Vaughn's Burn deck versus Robert Berni's Valakut deck. Now, what we want to tell you about is we have coming up over StarCityGames.com is the Eldritch Moon pre-release. So this is the new set. We've learned just in the last week, no one suspected it, but it's Emrakul. Emrakul has been what's messing up Innistrad. You can see that more. This is in the set, Eldritch Moon. So we have actually a limited edition playmat, and you know that these are going to be great. This is the Eldritch Groove playmat. See, and do you know, do you see this Planeswalker? I bet you can't guess what its name is.
Lily Llama.
It's a Lily Llama vest. Absolutely. You can get this. For the first time ever, you can actually get this playmat in your store. You know, in the past we've said, hey, come out to the Star City Games Game Center. And I'll tell you, at least one time I've ordered the playmat after that, but now it's available at participating stores, so you don't just have to live in the Virginia area to get one of these. Find out more by going to starcitygames.com/pre-release, and you can find a participating store near you.
I dig it. It's a pretty hip playmat. I might have gone for Llama Anna for that name.
Llama
Anna.
I like Lily Llama vest. Oh, that's good.
Lily
Llama.
Yeah, Lily Llama vest flows a lot better than Llama Anna vest.
So our third and deciding game between Vaughn and Berni. Berni will be on the mulligan.
And Vaughn's going to be on the play.
So what I would, going back to the difference between a breach list versus a non-breach list, is that so what a breach lets your Valakut deck do is steal games early on. You know, say the Valakut deck had a hand with Search for Tomorrow, Sakura Tri-Builder, Through the Breach. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you actually can just play the combo race game. That's not to say Berni's not going to be able to do that because he doesn't have that. He has Because he has scape shifts instead, what it means is that he's better at closing out the late game. Once he hits 7 lands, you just assume between his 3 Summoner's Packs, 2 Scape Shifts, and 4 Primeval Titans that he's going to win in a couple of turns every time.
Sure.
What it means is he has to play more of a control role in this matchup. So those Baloth, like in the games where you don't have Through the Breach, you're really relying on Lightning Bolt, Anger of the Gods, and Obstinate Baloth to bridge your way up to the 7 mana you need to win. Berni has to play every game that way, which, to be fair, still can work. It's a good strategy nonetheless.
Right, it's a big mana control deck versus a more combo-oriented version.
Right. Monastery Swift Spear will be on the play, will be in for Vaughn, hitting Berni down to 19. Valakut, turn 1 play for Robert. Temple Garden, Lightning Bolt, prowessing the Monastery Swift Spear, so Berni's to 16, now to 14 on the attack.
I don't know that you see Temple Garden in a lot of burn lists,
yeah,
but it does turn on all of the red X-colored spells, so Lightning Helix, Atarka's Command, those are both on with the same land. You can get choked on red mana, so we'll see how this plays out.
It is certainly the only land in his deck that does not produce red mana. We go back over to Berni, and this can be one of the painful parts of the deck. He had to shock for Stomping Ground to cast this Farseek. And you see a little bit a throw of the hands there from Robert. I think he's got to know that not only the fact that this is his first play on turn 2 and he had to take 2 for it, he's not feeling this.
Yeah, drawing exactly Valakut Stomping Ground as his mana base, with Farseek being his first play, especially with Vaughn having the turn 1 Swift Spear. This is a bad spot already.
He would have hoped to maybe have a Lightning Bolt there. And you see now Helix will put Berni down to 8. Swift Spear will prowess. Berni's to 6. Now, there's a chance here land Baloth can do some work.
Right. The best thing coming out of that turn for Berni is that Vaughn didn't have another 1-mana spell, but that means from here he's got a bunch of his 2-mana spells, which tend to be his more impactful individual cards.
Courser from Berni. Does he have the land to follow up? I don't believe he does.
Yeah, given the sequencing of the lands in this game, it's not surprising to see none coming out of his hand. And the top of the deck does not deliver.
His next RL will be Sakura Tribe Elder. Between the Courser and the Elder, Robert should be doing okay on not taking damage off creatures anymore. But at 6 life, I can't imagine he's feeling good about that.
Right, and from here, since Vaughn has already gotten so many chip shots in combat, if he has things like Skullcrack and Atarka's Command, he can just sit on his hands and eventually he'll be able to kill Berni with those.
And Vaughn shows 6 points of burn. Here's Rift Bolt and Atarka's Command. And Boros Charm. He'll suspend Rift Bolt and Boros Charm. So Berni down to 4, draws a card. Valakut's on top. Okay, he can survive. He plays another Courser. Plays the Valakut, goes to 4. Yeah, that's not
quite
concerning
enough
at all. Okay, the Rift Bolt will send Berni down to 1. 2 Atarka's Commands in Vaughn's hand. That is more than enough. Game and match go to Jordan Vaughn with Burn as he moves to 2-0.
Yeah, and those exquisite Firecrafts were instrumental in that first game. I will say the main phase Boros Charm at the end of Game 3 there was maybe a little ambitious. Your opponent missed a land drop. They're very unlikely to have land Obstinate Baloth, but that would be a nightmare scenario.
Right, because he has those Atarka's Commands in hand?
Right.
Yeah, he hadn't shown 4 mana, so there was a chance. He would have to have an untapped land off the top.
Yeah, the odds are low enough, but it's just one of those things where, I'm certainly guilty of this myself. Sometimes you get ahead and you maybe get a little bit sloppy. Not in love with the main phase Boros Charm. There's kind of no incentive for that play, but obviously still enough to get the job done.